going over a couple of different ways to get paid. Obviously, the first way that we get paid is by being a broker. So that's negotiating commission on the buy side or on the sell side. Everybody understands how to get paid as a broker, right? It can be commission, it can be flat rate, it could be a graduated rate if you want. So the idea behind the graduated rate is sometimes people say, if you sell it for X, I'll give you this much. If you sell it for X, I'll give you that much. So the other one I want to talk about that you guys can maybe start using or maybe use as your, as your own is this idea of an affiliate or a finder's fee. In the industry, sometimes they're known as bird dogs. And these are individuals that you might come across or you yourself want to be in this position whereby you go and find a buyer or a seller for somebody and you get paid a commission from the broker. Hey, Edward, if you want to bring me a CJ that I can list, I'll throw you $500 to get it signed, and then on the back end, I'll pay you whatever it is, whatever he's going to do. I'll pay you another $500 on the back end, or I'll pay you $1,000 when we sell it. Or if it's a pilot, hey, you bring me a listing, and when we sell it, I'll cut you in for 10% of the commission or half the commission, whatever it is. So you can be a bird dog, or you can utilize a bird dog and cut a piece of your commission to them to help, to help you get more business. Any questions there? So then the final piece that we want to talk about is working with inventory guys / wholesalers / investors. So now here's how this works. You're going through your market and you find an aircraft. Here's my beautiful aircraft, okay? You find an aircraft. Mr. Seller is willing to sell, so this is the seller. He's willing to sell for $1 million, okay? Mr. Investor or wholesaler is willing to pay $1 million. Down here, you've got a guy, we call him the end user, is looking for this exact plane, and he's willing to pay $1.5 million. So what do? You found the plane. He's willing to sell for $1 million. Because you're a professional, you have access to guys that are inventory guys, wholesalers, and investors. They're willing to pay $1 million for this jet. You've got an end user that's willing to pay $1.5 million for this jet. So you got a couple of options. Option one would be, hey, Mr. Seller, I've got a guy to buy your aircraft at $1 million. Will you pay me a commission? Yes. Great. Okay, so you make a commission here, right? Now this guy might go off and find another seller. You never hear from him again. That happens. However, if you're like, well, hey, I remember Bob, over here, he's looking for this exact same aircraft. Hey, Bob, we've got it for sale over here for $1.5 million. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, he's like, oh, cool, I'll buy it, $1.5 million, no problem. So now you can make a commission here, selling the plane for $1.5 million from the wholesaler to the end user. How much commission do you make? That depends on your relationship with the wholesaler. Could be a 6% for the sale. There's a $500,000 split here, though. I've worked with wholesalers where they give me a commission that's better than my 6%. So it kind of depends on how you would do that. Now, this happens. There's nothing illegal. There's nothing shady here going on. At $1.5 million, the question is, why would somebody pay $1.5 million for $1 million jet? Well, maybe the jet's actually worth $2 million and he's getting a deal. Or maybe it's not worth $1.5 million. Maybe he's like, well, I'll only pay 1.2. Now you got to go back to the investor and negotiate that deal and negotiate that that commission. This sale between the investor and the end user, it can happen one of two ways. The investor can buy from the seller, fix it up, add value, and then flip it to the seller or to the end user. Or it can happen at the same time. This is called a simultaneous closing. It's tough to do because basically you need this contract between wholesaler and seller to say X, and you need the contract between the end user and the investor to say the same exact thing, just changing the prices. If you do that, you can close all at the same time. Now, what's the inherent problem when you're doing this simultaneously? If you make a mistake, Mr. End User sees that Mr. Wholesaler is buying it for $1 million. Again, there's nothing illegal about that, but it's probably going to not make his day. And so what I recommend in this situation is that we exercise transparency. Hey, Bob, listen, I know you've been looking for this jet, okay? I found it for you. I know it's exactly what you're looking for. I know you already told me you're willing to pay 1.5. The reason this jet is available is because one of my partners, I have a wholesaler that has it under contract, and he's willing to sell it for a profit. Well, how much of a profit? He's buying it for $1 million. What? I'm not paying $500,000 for that. Bob, I'm with you, 100%. We can go find another plane, but we've been looking for a while and it might take a little longer. Or I can go back to this guy, you tell me, what would you pay for this plane? Well, I would pay 1.2. So we go back to the wholesaler and say, hey dude, like, okay, we can flip this simultaneously for 1.2. Well, I wanted to make $200,000 in this because again, the wholesalers don't do this out of the kindness of their hearts. They need to make money. So they might say, I don't want to do it for 1.2, I'll do it for 1.3 so that you get a commission too. And then you negotiate the deal and all's well that ends well. The reason I'm bringing this up to you guys is one, just so you can think of different ways to make money utilizing bird dogs, and two, working with wholesalers because we have these guys. So when you're going through your markets, if you find someone that's going to sell a jet cheap, let's talk to the wholesaler, see if there's a play there. Alex brought up a point earlier. What happens if you're going through a market and you find a jet, it's worth 1.5 and the seller tells you, I'll take 1 million. What do? Do you tell them? Do you have to tell them? I'm going to tell you yes, because we're professionals and we value honesty and transparency, okay? Some brokers won't. Some brokers will just be like, oh, you want to sell it for $1 million? Okay, I mean, I'll see if I can find somebody. It's worth 1.5 in your head. I'll see if I can find somebody. It's probably really only worth 900 grand, Bob, but if I bring you somebody in that 900 to $1 million range, like, maybe we can make something happen. Meanwhile, you got a guy, you call your buddy and he's like, I've got a steal. We're going to buy it for $1 million and we're going to put it on the market because we're wholesalers, we're inventory guys. We're going to add it to our inventory. We're going to put $500,000 on top of this and we're going to sell. It's going to be a steal. Those are like real conversations that happen. And all of a sudden, Bob sells it for $1 million when he could have sold it for 1.5. And the broker's not being honest. What would I do, or what I would like to see us do in that conversation is basically say to the seller, hey, Bob, listen, I know you'll take $1 million for it. That's a great price point. I think it's worth more. But of course, if I put it on the market and it's going to be more, it's going to take longer for us to sell it. You'll have my commission in it. Maybe you only walk away with 1.3. Do you want to put it on the market and try to get more money, or do you want to sell it now? No, Tom, I need to sell it now. I've got a divorce going on. I'm not using the plane. I've got a big bill. Like, I just need to sell it for $1 million right now. Great. Okay, everyone's on the same page. You told him that it's probably worth more money. He's okay with that. He's willing to let you sell. Great. Now you can sell it to a wholesaler for $1 million. Now, based on your relationship with the wholesaler, okay, you might make a commission for that first sale of $1 million. Based on your relationship with the wholesaler, when he goes to flip it, can you make money? That's a conversation with the wholesaler. So I just wanted to outline these two things again: working with affiliates, working with bird dogs / what else do we call them?
Finders.
Finders, yeah, like finders fee guys. That's one way you can do business. And that's the same thing when I'm calling through. If I'm talking to a pilot and the pilot's like, yeah, they might be interested in selling, I will say to the pilot, hey, look, I really think we can get this done. Do you need to get paid in the deal? And I'll ask the pilot, like, is he looking for something? Because I've had pilots at the end of a deal ask me for money, and I don't like that. So, try to get up front. If someone's expecting money, get that up front. And then I wanted to bring this idea of these inventory guys, these wholesale guys. Any questions on that?